Live.
Rats.
3 times in a row we have had walk-offs against the A's. This one didn't feel as good. We talk about those 3 walk-offs and this most recent one when I wake up and we bring you the DLLS Rangers Podcast. Yes, the Rangers were walked off in the third to the last game at Oakland Coliseum last night. It was no fun. It really wasn't. It was a spirited game and a fun comeback, but it was no fun there at the end, as it was the A's who turned the trick on the Rangers, who had walked them off the 2 previous games back in Arlington. Hi there, welcome into the DLLS Podcast. It's John Radigan here with Jeff Wilson and Abby Jones, and maybe it's just because I'm in a different seat.
We switched things up a little bit.
I didn't know what, where, when. We're starting? We're starting.
You're so tired because last night's game was a West Coast game. And let's be real, guys, it was a sleepy game.
I'm not positive I would have made extra innings. I got to be honest.
I used to, back in my heavy travels days, I never missed a West Coast trip. And you would hear the fans talking about, this West Coast games are killers. And, it's just normal time for us back there on the West Coast having a good time. I get it now. And it's rough, especially when it's not a great game. There was some action, but just, I don't know, maybe it's the last week blahs that I've got. I don't know, but extra innings would have been a tough one.
Yeah, and to your point, when I was traveling a lot with the Rangers, we'd go through and pick Emily and whoever else was on the travel circuit with us and me, and I'd try to pick all the West Coast trips. Same thing, because we'd be in studio, right? If I wasn't out there, I'd be in studio. We'd do a half-hour show after the game, and then I would drive home. So that was
that was the pre-pitch clock too.
That's right. So
now,
you'd get some 4-hour games.
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, absolute nightmare. So we talk about the walk-off from last night, and I thought one of the real good takeaways from the game was Nathan Eovaldi. He had a couple in a row where he wasn't pitching as well as certainly he would like and we expect. And I thought last night he fought through some stuff and he did a great job.
Nathan definitely has been struggling as of late, but last night did seem to be a little bit like the Nathan Eovaldi that we know and love. 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 7 Ks, 90 pitches as well. So you like to see him, controlling his pitch count throughout the game. Again, you would have really loved a Rangers win in that scenario, but just given the history of this series alone, the Rangers season is already pretty tough. I'm not going to lose sleep over this kind of loss to the Oakland A's because they did give their fans a pretty memorable night last night.
It was kind of familiar though. The Rangers last year did the little things so well and made plays that were supposed to be made. And the inning when the unearned run scored, Josh Smith threw a ball that honestly, Nathaniel Lowe probably should have scooped.
Yes.
But Josh should have taken his time with the throw. The next batter hit a towering fly ball to left or to right, and Adolis Garcia looked like he'd never caught a fly ball before.
Yeah.
Right.
Took a terrible route, spun around, lost the ball. And then the next batter hit a sac fly, I think it was. But, Nathan Eovaldi should have had 3 quick outs in that inning. And
yes.
The run should have never scored. And you just didn't see that a lot last year. It was good, though, the way that he made the adjustment after 26-pitch first inning. He was not a leadoff walk, not good. And there were times where he was battling himself that inning. I was just talking about, he threw some pitches and kind of threw up his arms and like, God, what's happening here? And but he liked the slider. I kind of thought they'd send him back out for the 8th, but maybe a different scenario. If they're in contention, they do that. I'm not sure, but and again, he said he felt better, and the last outing was 7 runs, and didn't feel good at all about that. So I don't know if it's a high note he's finishing this season on, but it's a better note.
No doubt. It's improvement. And one of the reasons probably that they didn't send him back out is just because of the success that they've had with that David Robertson, Kirby Yates combo. And, of course, once the game gets tied, it became, well, is it Yates or is it Zbors on the road? You're going to try to save your closer
100%,
for that extra inning situation.
Yeah, every time. And, Zbors is his first outing. And I don't know, forever. I mean, I know he pitched on rehab assignment, but it's just not there right now as you'd expect for a guy who hasn't pitched in a while.
Sure.
The stuff looked like it was moving, but it was moving right into the middle of the plate.
Yeah.
And, it just didn't work out. So, today's another day. We'll see what happens. But 5 to go, John. 5 to go, and then we're done.
Wow.
Did you guys know that last night's game drew a bigger crowd than Yankees and Dodgers? There were 30,402 fans in Oakland last night.
Yeah.
And it was the 484th walk-off that ballpark has seen.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've seen about 400 of them.
I was going to say, all but 84. That crowd of 30,000. I was listening on the radio at the very beginning of the game, and Eric and Matt were talking about. It looked to them, and this is early. It looked to them like there were somewhere less than 20 in the place, and they were commenting, that's really going to disappoint these A's people. They are obviously expecting big crowds at least to close this out. Now, some interesting notes that they were also bringing up at that point regarding how crazy it could get. How crazy they may be worried that it could get crazy tomorrow in particular. The crew that does the games, radio and TV for the A's have been told, do not park your cars here for the game. Normally, on a getaway day, which is what tomorrow is for Oakland, you would park your car there, you as a broadcaster, if you're at home, and you would jump in your car after the game and you'd go to the airport, right? And there's also a bus, because some of the players don't do that, right? So they said, just give your keys to the attendant when you arrive. They will take your car to the airport, and you ride the bus.
That's very kind of them.
Well, yeah, and again, it's but like it's a what do they call that? Abundance of caution.
Yeah.
It's an abundance of caution to make sure, because they just don't know. Now, the reports out of Oakland are full of angst.
You could tell that they had some old Raiders fans in the crowd with the shoulder pads and the weird stuff, and walking around with those horns that they always seem to blow. I hope it stays festive, but 3 days of festive, I don't know.
Yeah,
At some point it's gonna bubble over, I think. I will want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and that they'll be on their best behavior, but we've been to Oakland a lot, and sometimes their fans aren't on their best behavior. And maybe it's the Raiders thing, I don't know, but Thursday's going to be interesting. Yeah,
I mean, it's a very similar fan base, right? The Raiders and the A's, and for that matter, years ago, certainly the Warriors too.
Right, and it could be their first series win in the Coliseum since August 7th against the White Sox. So I think, for the sake of the story, I mean, it would be nice for Athletic fans if they ended on a win. And did you know that they're one loss away from 2,000 at the park too?
Oh, no kidding.
If they could avoid, the big number of 2,000, I think they're going to try to.
Absolutely. No, they absolutely want to go out on as high a note as they possibly can, and so they'll do everything in their power, no doubt. And look, all season long, we've said it, or at least since probably midseason, Jeff, don't sleep on these A's. This is a decent team.
They played really well in July and August. They really did, and they were playing pretty well when they came to Arlington. I mean, those games were the 2 walk-offs, obviously, the Rangers won. Those were tight ball games, and they just got away from them, the A's at the end. So, it's a lot of young talent. Lawrence Butler's had a good season. J.J. Blade, who was a third overall pick not that long ago, he finally has had a breakthrough season. Brent Rooker with 38 home runs. Langoliers, who kills the guys, the Rangers, the Baylor and Keller graduate. Tyler Soderstrom, another first rounder who's playing first base because Langoliers is the catcher. Zach Geloff, they're high on. So I could keep going, but they do need some pitching help in the rotation, and we'll see. But it's kind of this is just kind of like an A's team. It's kind of like they're kind of bad, and then you see this young talent that they've acquired in trades or draft or however they've done it, and then they'll be good for a few years, but then those guys will get expensive.
Right.
And they'll have to trade them and all this. So, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen here the next 2 years in Sacramento, where they're not going to make any money. But then Las Vegas, hey.
They could really start making money. Who knows if they'll spend it?
Right.
But they could really start making it.
Right.
All right. So before the game yesterday, we get the news that Josh Jung will be placed on the injured list again. First and foremost, because those of us who see him all the time, as we do, know how badly all he wants to do is play. So you feel for the young man.
Yeah, he said this was a Bochy call, and I don't think you're going to argue with Bruce Bochy as your manager, but it's really just the vibration off the bat. He's taking so many swings this season that tendon has become sore, because if you think about all the exit velocity off the bat and things like that, it can irritate it a little bit. So was he supposed to see the surgeon Monday?
I think he saw him Monday. Yeah,
Monday?
Don
Okay.
Sheridan out in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Who's basically could retire on Josh Jung at this
Right.
point.
Yeah, exactly. And who, by the way, throws out possibilities of what it might be, including that they may have to take the plate that has been placed in the wrist out of there, because obviously that would just be
I volunteer to give Josh my wrist.
Right? I swear that would be so frustrating for, especially for Josh at this point. But it's... Even Boach said when asked about it, I just want to make sure nobody's putting him in the injury prone, category.
Yeah.
Look, this is still a freak injury that happened that just for whatever reason is reluctant or slow to heal.
Well, it wasn't just a clean fracture. I think Josh said there were 7 pieces of bone that came off with it. So you have to put those back into place. He said there's a plate. I think he said there are 8 screws in there. I still have a plate from when I broke my arm when I was 15 in my arm. And the doctor, I was like, well, do I need to get it taken out? He's like, well, if you take it out, you're going to have 6 holes in your bone, and you're going to have a broken arm again, and you're going to have to go through the whole thing again. So obviously, if there's a nerve that's getting pinched, then maybe that's something that they have to consider. But you also have to keep in mind he's going to have a broken arm again. And so it would be starting from scratch, and he would have to go through the healing process again and then rehab it. And they want him to have an off season where he doesn't have to rehab, where he can get ready for a season instead of getting over an injury. So we'll see what happens. But it's definitely a freak injury. Into the injury-prone thing, to your point, his injuries have been a hairline fracture of his foot.
Right.
Torn labrum that was basically wear and tear from diving, but he did it weightlifting right before the season started. Then the broken thumb, and then this. He had the calf injury in spring training. Okay, that's fine. But and then this broken wrist. We're talking broken bones and major tendons that just give out, and it's not an injury prone thing. He doesn't have brittle bone disease. He has really bad luck.
I did love the question yesterday if somebody was like, has anybody tested his bone density?
Yeah.
It's a valid question. Josh Jung has only played in 46 games this season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to hear that, it's like you don't realize how much time he's missed until you think about that number.
Yeah.
No, that is startling. And again, we kept, because we were all teased with it. Josh is coming back, and Josh is coming back, and then every time he'd get near a comeback, there was another setback, and so it's a 46-game season for Josh, and nobody wants to play more than Josh Jung wants to play. So, consequently, Rangers had to, Bruce Bochy had to get a little creative with the lineup. They had to, they made some roster moves yesterday too, with Zeke being on the paternity leave list too.
Right, and he'll play again this year. You can only stay on there 72 hours.
Couple of days,
so He'll
His
probably
baby girls do today.
He'll
actually.
probably
okay.
join the team in Anaheim, and that means that probably Matt Duffy will not stay on the roster. He's there because they needed somebody who could play third base, basically, because now they're down to Josh Smith and Jonathan Ornelas, and so they didn't want to stick Nathaniel Lowe, who's played third base a couple times in his career, over with the. I think he played it once with the Rangers, but with Tampa Bay, and Justin Foscue has played third in the minors. But you need a dependable third baseman at the hot corner, and Duffy. People have asked why not Blaine Krim, and well, Blaine doesn't play that side of the infield, but it's just a screwy deal. But anyway, if Matt Duffy does get DFA'd, that creates a spot on the 40-man roster. So, damn it, give it to Blaine Krim.
Number one advocate for Blaine Krim.
So,
Blaine Krim, that's the guy. Well, who knows? We'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on Duffy. And props to Duffy, by the way. Some of the minor leaguers we had a chance to talk to the other day who were honored as the best in the organization brought up Duffy as such a great influence on them as this veteran spent basically the entire year in the minor leagues.
Jax Biggers, to be exact.
Yeah, was it Jax that brought him up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. So anyway, a little talk about the Rangers. More coming up as we talk about the pitching rotation through the next few days, which is very interesting and very fun. But first, we have got to tell you about Roback. We haven't talked that much about them, so I'm glad we have the opportunity to do so, because Roback is simply the best quality shirts and active wear that you can possibly get. Great golf shirts, great hoodies, great anything you do that's outdoors and active, Roback makes it, and you want to be a part of this Roback product. It's great quality, it's great price, and by the way, there's a lot of great designs and great colors to choose from as well. You can honor your favorite team, if you will, with a Roback. They've got the whole team series, and they've got some of the best technology as far as wicking the sweat away from your body and holding it within the shirt, not within your body. Your shirt will not be sticking to you anymore, no matter how hot it gets, even in September in Texas. So use the code DLLS20 to get your 20% off your first order. Remember, we spell it RHOBACK.
You know what, John? I'm going to buy one here in just a second. I'm going to buy a hat and try to use that discount because I need a black hat.
Yep.
I decided. I thought I had one, but I think my wife has confiscated it. So
Mrs. J-Dub?
That's right. She has taken it. Anyway, and I have some money to do it because of Sleeper. Last night wasn't my best night on the Sleeper app. I placed 3 bets, and I only won $2.50. I did a flex.
Trying to think of what he could get with $2.50.
So anyway, I hit 4 out of 6 on that one. I went 1 out of 4 on one, and then 4 out of 6 again on another one. So anyway, if you don't know, Sleeper, it's kind of known for fantasy football. That's how it's got to start, but now they're really into the daily picks. And so put your ball knowledge to the test by picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less than their projected stats each week. So, for instance, one of the ones I hit yesterday was Adolis Garcia would not strike out.
Okay.
So that was one that I got. And that actually had higher odds because we know Adolis likes to strike out.
I was about to say, that's a risky bet.
So anyway, the more you combine your picks, the higher the odds, the more money you can win. But you can also do a flex, which kind of gives you a little bit of a cushion. So if you miss a bet or two, you can still win a little bit. That's why I won $250 instead of $25. So anyway, the best thing about this right now is if you use code DLLS Rangers, you get $100 first match deposit. I did that, so I got $100 free with my $100 deposit. It's fun. It makes sports fun. So if you think you have what it takes, download the Sleeper app and use the code DLLS Rangers to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states, including the Lone Star State. Check out Sleeper today.
Texas.
We love that sleeper. I've already placed my picks for today. I've just done two. I've done the two, and I've picked both Marcus to get a hit.
I did that one.
And one of the other Rangers to get a hit. I can't remember.
Well,
who my
Marcus
other
went
one
2
was.
for 5 last night. So
based on the
pretty good.
stats you culled yesterday and
Yeah.
presented, I did. Here's my picks real quick. Simeon, 1 hit. Jonathan Ornelas, less than a hit, a run, and an RBI.
Okay.
Chris Sale, more than 4.5 strikeouts.
Okay.
Jorge Soler, who's driven on a run in 4 straight games, an RBI. Jose Ramirez, who I just think is great, 1 hit, and then Juan Soto, 1 hit. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Sounds like an easy $50 coming my way. But
Yeah. No.
we'll see about that.
It's
Lunch
fun.
is on Jeff.
Yeah, Marcus Simeon, by the way, who has said, and we've got more. We're going to hear more from Marcus tomorrow from when we chatted with him about the final series in basically his hometown of Oakland, California. But he's since said all he wants as a memory, like he's not going to take a cup full of dirt or he's not going to try to steal a base. All he wants is a hit, a big, significant hit, a home run.
Such a Marcus answer.
Something that he can hang on to
Yeah.
from the final series there. And
Did you see the
love
players
it.
were gathering, Oakland A's players were gathering like their memorabilia?
Yeah.
They got to pick,
oh, yeah.
and then some fans stole a seat.
Yeah. Which isn't good because they're all sold, right? They're all sold.
No, imagine
Right?
getting
The
to
guy
your
who
game
shows up
and you're like,
I
don't know where to sit.
Typical Oakland. I got to
Right,
stand.
right. On brand.
50,000 seats and about 10 of them are gone or whatever. So,
On brand.
yeah, it's an emotional last series, not weekend, but last series there in Oakland. Now, for Cody Bradford, who toes the rubber tonight for the Texas Rangers, man, Jeff, he just wants to pick up where he left off against Toronto last week.
Very good. Yeah, he was great, and his two biggest stumbles this year have been on the road.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he has any road demons he wants to conquer here, but so that'll be an opportunity for him. He has a chance against Butler and Blade are left-handed hitters, so that's an opportunity for him to get some bigger hitters out, a little advantage there. Some right-handed hitters in there like Rooker who has some pop, but
He's hitless in his last 18 at-bats, by the way.
oh, he's
Rooker is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
he's
due
due.
then.
Yeah, he's due. Shoot.
Hopefully not today.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, Cody, and we've talked about it, I think he's in the rotation for next year. It's just,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah,
absolutely
no
earned
doubt.
it, and he has huge fans, and the 3 guys who probably make the most decisions, Chris Jung, Bruce Bochy, and Mike Maddox, they just love the guy. So hopefully can finish on a high note too, and take whatever he needs to take into the offseason. But, he's developed a little bit of a curveball. He has the great command. He needs to have the command because he doesn't have the big velocity. But if he can do that, he's a tough cookie.
And I'm not going to put the road struggles solely on Cody Bradford because the Rangers are 30-46 this season on the road. But, he had 7 shutout innings, 6 strikeouts, no walks. I mean, that was his last outing, and that was a masterclass by Cody Bradford. Rangers have won 8 of his last 12 starts. So, again, if Cody Bradford's command is on, I think it was Leody Taveras that said, I feel like I'm watching PlayStation when I'm watching Cody Bradford pitch because his command is unlike any other. And when you don't have that velo, when your fastball is touching 90 on a good day, you've got to be locked in and hit all of the quadrants.
Yeah, you absolutely do, and that's exactly what Cody does. And we've seen and we've talked about guys over the years who have done that, and they haven't had to be the big power pitcher. They haven't had to be, the big 95 to 100 mile an hour flamethrower. Although Mason last night, good God,
He's one of my favorite pitchers
he
to
is,
watch.
man, he is amazing to watch. And you know what? Credit to, was it Josh Smith that had the hit?
Yeah.
He just kept fighting him, and then finally stuck with one. I think it was 101 miles an hour.
Yeah, if I had to say one thing about Mason Miller, it's in those situations, he doesn't throw when he's in a battle, he sticks with his fastball.
Yeah.
Which is fine. If you remember the walk-off win the Rangers had, Wyatt Langford just kept fouling balls off. It was a key at bat. I think it ended up with a walk, and Wyatt had been way behind, and Miller did throw some sliders, but when it got to a full count, it was just heaters, and big league hitters can catch up to that stuff. And so that's, maybe he needs to develop a slider a little bit more, have more confidence in it. I mean, he's a rookie after all, but
but he has the wiggle room because he has the velo.
Yeah, you got 102,
which is what Cody Bradford doesn't have.
He's only going to get better. This
Miller. Yeah. He's going to continue to learn how to pitch and to learn how to harness things. And he really is. When he's not playing your team, he's a fairly fun guy to watch. I just think that that's still somewhat intoxicating. We saw it firsthand and up close and personal with the Roldis last year. But that's like, wow, they just threw that thing 102 miles an hour.
Yeah, and I think Abby you were talking to Mike Maddox about it, about how
the fastballs.
Velocity's up 100 miles per hour and all that stuff, and how it's kind of, I won't say it's routine, but it's not uncommon. But for a long time there, somebody threw 100 like Joel Zumaya.
Right.
It's like,
exactly.
Zoomy.
How about this guy? And he
and
blew
Nolan,
up and all that
Nolan
stuff.
touched it,
right,
back
Nolan
in the day.
But like on a
Nolan,
consistent basis, like I think even if you're not like the biggest baseball fan, like I don't like everyone knows Aroldis Chapman, but does the average fan know Mason Miller?
Probably not.
Not
and
yet.
It's like,
not yet.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the stat was, back in I don't even remember, maybe 20 years ago, there were like 234 fastballs that were pitched that were 100 miles an hour that season, and it's like 3,400 now.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
But it's like you're getting these guys that are touching 101 on a consistent basis. Like it's just the standard of the game now.
Miller and Clase and Duran for the Twins.
Ben Joyce.
I mean, Ben Joyce, who's been shut down.
Chapman.
Yeah, I mean, there's just, and it's not like once, and then they're like, all right, I'm back to 93. It's.
I remember too.
Pitch after pitch.
Joel Zumaya. I was like a kid when he was coming up in Detroit, and he had like flames on his arm, and I was like, this is so cool because he actually like can throw flames, and it was disgusting.
Well, and what's amazing now, what you see too, is that these kids throw it, and again, it's the way they've been taught and better mechanics and everything else. And Neftali Feliz was the first one, and he wasn't a big 100, but he was a high 90s guy.
He'd hit 100.
He'd get to 100, and he was the first one who I saw where it was like effortless. Right?
Yeah.
He'd throw it, and you're like, there's no possible way that was, it was 99. You know what I mean? Because it was just like playing soft toss,
Well, that's like DeGrom.
Right. I was
DeGrom,
gonna say.
Just an
Same
effortless,
thing.
and Rocker's pretty effortless too, and he's hit 100 this season in the minors. So,
and DeGrom, like during part of his career, was on pace for picking up his velo, like at least a half of a mile an hour, like every couple of months, just because of his mechanics.
Yeah, he's just But he's not alone now. But
no,
I think when it comes to being smooth and all that, he's got to be the I don't know, almost
king.
the benchmark.
Yeah, that's right.
The guy that everybody wants to emulate.
Yeah. It is the final series in Oakland, California. Tomorrow is the last game of baseball, anyway, to be played there. They're going to play a couple of soccer teams. A men's and a women's team are going to continue to play there. But for now, there won't be any baseball or football at the old Oakland Coliseum. We come back, we're going to talk about the Rangers' memories from there. Several of them stand out in particular. And so we'll talk about those. But first, Abs.
You need Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. It's the number one place for a job search. I really can't even think of a competitor because all of my life I've just heard Indeed. They're driven by research for better, and they have kind of an interesting process because in the day of algorithms, you just match things these days.
Yeah.
It's not really like you have to search for anything. I'll scroll on my phone and find one video and then find 10 videos that are similar. And that's kind of the data and the science that they've applied to this technology to put you in the best position to find the best candidates ever. So if you need to hire, you need Indeed. It is a matching hiring platform. Like I said, there's 350 million global monthly visitors. When I said I can't think of a competitor, that's why. It's kind of like the one-stop shop for this particular thing. And according to Indeed data, they have the best search engine that helps you find quality candidates the fastest rate, so you can ditch the busy work. I imagine if you're looking for multiple people to hire, you don't really have time to schedule and try to figure out the screening process of everything and the messaging and setting up all the interviews. This is going to do it for you. It takes all the busy work out of hiring somebody. So 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivered the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. And according to recent Indeed survey, it's just the number one, the best, no questions about it. 23 new hires were made since I was giving my Indeed spiel. But you can get a $75 job credit, and what this does is it's going to push you to like a priority list, and that's going to give you the most views on the application side of things. So tell them that your favorite podcast sent you that way. Use Indeed.com/ALLCITY for a $75 job credit. You will not regret it.
And with that money, or the money you make from Sleeper, go to the Game Time app, because there's probably a concert or a ball game or something that you want to watch that tickets are hard to get, or maybe you just want to do it at the last minute. Well, Game Time is the app. It's the service that's going to help you out and take care of you. They have a new feature called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. You can look at they have a kind of like a virtual seating deal there. So you can like see what seat you're buying and what your view is going to look like, so that you don't end up behind a pillar, or
Right.
or you're up in the rafters, or maybe you want to be in the shade if it's an outside event in the middle of the summer, something like that, or maybe you want to be by the beer stand. Whatever, you can figure it out. Thanks to Game Time. It's all in pricing, so that's great, because there's no surprises at the end. Everything is upfront. You know what you're getting yourself into, and they have a low price guarantee. If it's not the lowest price, they will credit you 110% of the difference.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's a
profit.
You can make, hey, so watch it carefully. But take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Abby, what time is it?
Game time?
There you go.
Game time.
Game time? J-Dub, that was a great read.
It
We
was.
we have a new nickname for Jeff Wilson.
Jeff.
It is J-Dub. He
So
doesn't
it's
like
Abs, Rads, and J-Dub.
it. J-Dub?
Yeah.
We don't have a nickname for Elijah yet. We got to do that too.
The Prophet.
I was going to
The
say like
Prophet. Oh, I love that.
Oz, like Wizard of Oz. We'll see.
The Prophet, man.
You guys let us know.
Yeah.
All right. So 57 years in the Oakland Coliseum. They've seen some great things. 4 World Series titles, 6 AL pennants, 17 AL West crowns, 21 playoff appearances. I am in my 27th year of life. But John Radigan, I'm curious to know, what were you doing at year 27, maybe 28?
Yeah, in my 27th, 28th year of life, I was starting as a broadcaster, a sports reporter for NBC5 in Dallas. And as such, I entered a brave new world, man. I was coming from Flint, Michigan, a small market, but it's where I was born.
Great
I was
market.
actually born in Flint, and so it was really fun to work there with people I had grown up with and all that type of thing. But then I got to Dallas, man, and I'll never forget, I pulled into the parking lot of NBC5, and there was one of those huge satellite trucks like they used to have, and a helicopter in the lot. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have hit
Some
the big
hard-hitting
time.
news,
I was
yeah.
like, I became nervous. I walked in for my introduction to everybody, and they handed me a pager, and I'm like, oh God, they know where I am at all times now. So it was quite nerve-wracking. And they used that pager on June 6th of 1990 to page me and tell me I was going to Oakland, California. One of the milestone events that the Rangers have been a part of at the Oakland Coliseum. Let's take a look at the list of those events, and we admit right here, these are the ones that have happened since I have been around this team and this organization. Jim Bibby had a no-hitter in Oakland in 1973. That is also one of the biggest moments the Rangers have experienced. These are those that we have, been a part of, either Jeff or I, or in many cases, both have been a part of some of these events. So there you see that 6th no-hitter by Nolan Ryan. I am out to dinner that night with my sister.
In Dallas.
In Dallas, yep. My sister had just visited. She's a teacher, and I had only moved here 3 months ago. And my sister, who's a teacher, and her husband come down as soon as she gets out of school, and they come to visit us in Dallas. And so I'm out to dinner with them, and I get this page, so I call the station. Hey, Nolan's got a no-hitter through 5, so you're going to Oakland. I'm like, well, what if somebody gets a hit? Doesn't matter. You're going to Oakland. Go. Get on a plane. So I go home from dinner, pack a bag, go to Oakland, and of course, I think I was flying as the no-hitter was completed. But then the next day, I go to the stadium, and we go onto the field, and we had a noon newscast. It was getaway day for the Rangers, and Nolan Ryan came out and did a live shot with me on the field as I, to commemorate and talk about the no-hitter from the night before. And so not a bad, that was my first trip to Oakland. Yeah. In fact,
pretty good one.
It was only, less than a year since the Earthquake World Series game.
Right.
So I drove past places in San Francisco where we saw some of those beautiful houses and all that were, had fallen down. I drove past some that were still under construction. That was that was an absolutely just a jarring memory, but a really fun one and a great intro for me into the world of big time sports coverage at that point. So that was really fun.
Nolan was like 43 then too.
He was. Yep. He had 130 pitches, 14 strikeouts, and 130 and 14 Ks in that game.
Yeah, he would have one more, of course, but he was big news. I remember talking to the old reporters and columnists back then, and if they weren't at the ballpark, and if Nolan had a no-hitter through 5, which he did a lot because he threw a lot of.
He did.
He threw what, 19?
12. I think he had 12 one-hitters.
What a big number of one-hitters. So they would run to the ballpark.
Yeah.
They would say, "All right, honey, I'll see you later. I got to get to the ballpark. Nolan's got a no-hitter going on," and he was big business. It was. When the Rangers signed him, it kind of added some legitimacy to him, kind of like when they brought him back, and as president, it added a layer of legitimacy. John Daniels is still pretty young, both literally in age and then in his career, and Tom Hicks was, as we didn't know at the time, teetering towards bankruptcy. So it was a seminal moment for the broadcast for the ball club in 2008. But my first trip to Oakland was in 2008, and it was very nondescript. I don't even remember it. The first, but I figured though that I've probably seen 100 games there would be my guess. Because they would play 9 or 10 times a year. So you multiply that time the year. I was doing heavy travel, and it works out. But some of those moments that have happened, I guess the first big one would have been 2010 when the Rangers clinched there. We kind of talked about that the other day, and
literally September 25th that happened in 2010.
How about that?
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So on this day,
14 years ago,
exactly
today.
14. And one thing I remembered when I was driving home, we talked about you were hanging out with Frenchie, Jeff Francoeur, and having some drinks with him. We got back to the hotel, and I think I contributed to that story you were telling about him going up the tunnel and throwing up after the thing.
Yeah.
So.
No, I remember he was. He was like, "Hey, let's go get a couple drinks." I was like, "All right, it's my turn," or whatever. He goes, "No, here." And he just gave me $100 bill. I brought back $98 or not 98, $88 and change. I was like,
Yeah,
here you go.
Yeah.
I do think I left a nice tip, but it wasn't my money. But that was just a fun night. And then in 16, when they clinched, I believe it was a night game. So It wasn't
Before we get to the
quite as
clinching
fun.
in
Yeah.
16, let's go back to June of 16 when Colby Lewis had a game for the ages. And, of course, we all loved Colby. He was such a great guy to cover. I was here, actually, when he was around the very first time, and then he left and went to Japan and came back a different guy, but just a fantastic guy to cover. And then he had a no-hitter. He had a perfect game through 7 2/3 innings against Oakland at the Coliseum, and then he walked the third batter of the 8th inning and then got the out. So perfect game gone, but he's still got the no-hitter intact. 9th inning, first batter, Max Muncy comes to the plate and he doubles. And it was just so unfortunate. Everybody in the stadium, maybe even the Oakland fans, were rooting for Colby to complete that no-hitter. And then as he comes off the field, I was there as the field reporter for the Rangers on Fox Sports at the time. As he comes off the field, I greeted him.
Try to put into words how you're feeling right now, Cole.
It sucks. I don't know. They played really well behind me. I put a lot of balls in play and played great defense behind me. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. I think last year I took it through 7 last year against these guys. So yeah, you never know when that kind of stuff's going to come up, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was 7 2/3, perfect. At that point, I don't know how close you are to realizing those things. Were you?
Oh, the first time through the lineup. I mean, going into the 4th inning. I mean, that you haven't walked a guy or anything like that. So you just try to go out there and continue to make good pitches and let your defense play behind you.
And I think you did make good pitches there in the 9th inning. Sometimes they just get you, right?
No, I mean, I just I'm up with a certain amount of pitches. I mean, runs anyway. I just try to keep throwing that fastball down and away. I was pretty successful all day, and kind of got Muncy got it out and around, and Maz tried to put a good catch on it, but it is what it is.
Oh, what a great guy. And what a great memory, and what a terrible way for that game to end. I mean, it was just, there's nobody you would root harder for at that point, especially for us who'd covered him at that point for a long time, 16. Nobody you'd root harder for than Colby.
No, and he'd been through some issues with, well, in 12, he blew out his flexor tendon, and that was right after the All-Star break. The Rangers were, comfortably in front in the division. And the guy who replaced him in the rotation, or the guys who replaced him in the rotation, did not win a game the rest of the way.
Gosh.
So you talk about how the Rangers lost by 1 game, which is also on our list.
Yeah.
The nightmare
2012
right. game when Josh Hamilton lost the ball in the sun. And anyway, if just one win out of that spot, and they win the division. So Colby was a valuable piece, obviously, until Nathan Eovaldi came along. He was the all-time winningest pitcher in Rangers postseason history.
Yep.
He just wanted the ball, but anyway, he'd had the flexor tendon. He'd had the hip issue. He has a fake hip, and he came back to pitch on that. And just tough as nails, big guy. His favorite drink is called a lunchbox. It is a Coors Light, or a Bud Light, amaretto, and orange juice, and they taste like a creamsicle, and they're delicious.
Really?
Yeah.
You pour them all together. It's not like some of these you see them drop a shot glass inside of a draft beer or something.
It's Bud
all
Light
mixed together.
Amaretto, orange juice, and it's fantastic.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll have to keep that in mind. That sounds like fun. All right, so now let's get, and we mentioned that we had it on there because it was big, the Josh Hamilton thing, but you don't want to dwell on that too much. That Rangers team, that might have been the best Rangers team in history.
They were so good.
They were
Such
so
a good
good.
team.
So
Man.
good. And they lost because of, then they had a 2-game lead starting that series. They had a 2-game lead over the A's.
Right. And just the way the math added up, they went to Seattle. They played the Angels at home in a doubleheader on that Sunday, and they split. And so I just was looking at the math. I was like, all right, it's done.
Just got to win. Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
And hopped on the plane, Seattle. That was when Josh Hamilton was having his eye issues.
Right.
And that was crazy. Anyway, he flew home. It might have been the road trip earlier, but in any event, it was just some weird stuff that went on. It just didn't work, and it was maddening. You just couldn't believe what was
at
happening.
that point in the season.
Yeah,
Whether it
right.
was the previous road trip or that one, and I can't remember either. It's too late in the year to be messing with this stuff,
Yeah,
Josh.
and that was the year that was the 4-homer year.
Yeah.
But that was also the year where he went through the big summertime slump, and his ex-wife had discovered that he was chewing tobacco again, and she was telling him what a sinner he was, and so he was.
Tobacco's not like the worst vice I've ever heard of.
He was dealing with that, and it was just crazy. And he just, you hear stories about how great Josh was and all the things. Like, he never slept. It was just kind of a whatever was going on in him. It looks like he's still doing fine. Friends run into him every once in a while, and when he's in the area, he has a house in Keller and also a ranch near College Station. So he splits his time there, but he helps out with his daughter's softball team and all that stuff. So he's a good dad still. Anyway, I got off on a weird tangent.
Yeah, no, that's a bad one.
Josh is an integral part of the Rangers' history in Oakland.
Yeah, and quickly we have to just mention Banny's second year at the helm. The Rangers won the division that year and made the playoffs both year.
His first year, his very first game was at Oakland, and he had the flu, and so he couldn't go to the workout the day before because he was really sick. So then he shows up the next day, and Sonny Gray almost no-hit him.
Oh wow!
And it was Ryan Rua who got a hit in the eighth
Rua.
inning, a single past the second baseman. That was their only hit of the game. And anyway, so there's another Oakland memory.
Yeah, lots of Oakland memories, and we appreciate Twitter helping us out with the reminder that the Bibby no-hitter happened. We had that; it just wasn't in our time
In our lifetime.
covering this team, or in our lifetime, barely in mine actually. So
That was the year before I was born.
Well,
and,
okay.
and the '73 Rangers are like the worst team in franchise history. So to have a no-hitter, it's kind of weird.
I know. Yeah, it's pretty good accomplishment. So anyway, more to come as we get to our batting cleanup segment, and we're going to clean things up in Major League Baseball, aren't we? Yes, we are. We're going to do that coming up next. But Abs, first,
Well, Rads.
sell some merchandise.
It is on the way. I had a call with merchandise today. I actually asked about the Chicago sweatshirt because there is a very cool pizza fun like one-off sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And they told me the more that you guys buy, the more creative the shirts get. So Rads really wants a barbecue shirt.
I do.
But we do have merchandise. I'm wearing a sweatshirt today. It's like 70 degrees. I'll take it as a win. But we will have sweatshirts available soon. J-Dub over here loves hats. He's in the market for a black hat.
That's right.
Think you can find one on the website maybe?
I'm pretty sure.
I think we know
I'm
a
very
guy. We
confident,
can put in
yeah.
a good word if there's not one already. But we have merchandise. It's soft. It's durable. It is great for every day. If we saw you on the street, I think you'd be our very best friend. But we've got Mavs gear, Stars gear, Rangers, Cowboys, Dallas Wings. We've got a TCU shirt, which Jeff has a TCU show today. If you guys want to listen to the All Horned Frogs podcast.
Yep, 2:30.
2:30. Any special guest?
Nana Osafa Mensah, who
course.
is a
There you go.
very, very good story. He's transferred from Notre Dame. He got his graduate degree at Notre Dame. He went to Nolan High School, and he wanted to play before his family. So transferred to TCU.
Tune in at 2:30. I will. That's an interesting story. But tons of merch is going to be on the website, and we will have some to show you guys soon here as well. They're just putting in the orders. You can go to store.allcitynetwork.com to get your DLLS merch today, and we also have other locations if you have friends and family in Denver, Chicago, Phoenix, or Philly.
Yes, and once you have the merch, or maybe you don't even have to get it, you don't have to pay for it if you do the right thing and become a diehard.
Mm-hmm.
Diehard is the way to go. You will join our elite club, right? Our exclusive club. Jeff will give you some behind the paywall content. I mean, it'll be there anyway, but you have free access to it if you become a diehard member. You will also get 20% off the merchandise, but guess what? Like I say, you might not need it immediately because if you become a diehard, you automatically get a free shirt. Diehard
Every
membership. Yep, Diehard membership is $79.99. You become a member, and you get the free shirt. It's a $35 value. Boom. You have become a member, and it's only cost you just under $45. So we encourage you to do that. And then you'll also get 20% off things that we do or we plan to do. And I saw some emails and some chatter on our Slack feed today about this. The upcoming events, shows, trips, takeovers. We're going to do them. They're going to cost. You're going to get 20% off. Become a diehard and join us as our best friend today.
Best friend club.
Yeah, that's all we want. We just want you to be our buddy. That's all we're looking for. All right, wow. What
Playoffs.
a way for the San Diego Padres to clinch last night.
That's crazy.
They clinched a playoff spot. Amazingly, they're still thinking they can win the division. Now, this is a team that was breaking my computer here.
Gosh, John.
This was
Very
a team.
passionate
I'm
about the
excited.
Padres
I don't
win
like the
last night.
middle. I guess it's the middle. They're a team that was 50-50
Yeah.
on the day after the All-Star break, or maybe
Wow.
the first game after the All-Star break. And since that time,
It's
what
40
did I
and
write down?
16?
Yeah, 40-16, 40-something, 41-16.
That's pretty good.
Since that time.
That's ridiculous.
Obviously, triple plays are rare, and so it's not like a jaw-dropping stat that they're the first team to turn a triple play to clinch a playoff spot. All right, of course they are. But you don't see around the horn triple plays.
I know.
Anymore. That's the
5-4-3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you usually see a line drive with the runners stealing or something, or they thought the ball was caught or wasn't caught and it was caught, and so everybody gets doubled and tripled off. But what a play! And the real unbelievable thing is that Shohei Ohtani was on deck. Right. So he had it was like a 99% chance that he was going to bat in that game.
Yeah, of course.
And they turn a triple play. I mean, no outs, runners at first and second, and you're over there with Ohtani in the on deck circle. You're thinking, my God, this is going to be great.
Right. Even if the guy strikes out, it's okay.
Yeah.
We got one out and runners at first and second for the best hitter on the planet.
So all right. So let's say they don't turn to triple play, but they get an out. All right. So runners at first and second. Are you going to walk him? Because third base is open, but then you got to face Mookie Betts. I mean, it was like a no-lose situation.
A rock in a hard place.
It was a no-lose situation.
It really was. Yeah, because even if they turned a double play, right, you still got a runner at third probably.
So you walk Ohtani.
And you walk Ohtani, and here comes
Betts.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, that's crazy stuff.
Yeah, that was really fun.
And to Rad's points, they're 2 games behind the Dodgers
they still think they can win the division. If they sweep this series, then they'd be tied, and then here they go. They
celebrated in the locker room. The clubhouse. And I think that's going to put fuel in both camps' fires because, I don't know. I mean, if I'm the Dodgers, that's absolutely not going to happen under my watch. I mean, it did last night, but just the division, I'm interested to see how that plays out, no doubt. Let's take a look at what happened in Houston. Speaking of, we have the AL West. Oh, this is
Jackson Holiday.
This is Jackson Holiday. This is in Houston. The Astros clinched their 7th AL West title in the last 8 seasons. It's important to note that June 18th, the Astros were 10 games back in the AL West. So give credit where credit is due. It's been quite a run lately for the Astros, and it's their 4th straight AL West crown, 8th consecutive season in the playoffs. Only the Dodgers can claim that same feature. So, I mean, October baseball and the Astros just kind of makes sense.
Well, the year they didn't win was the COVID year.
2020, yeah.
And but they still went to the ALCS, and dang near went to the World Series. So it's hard to do. The Rangers found that out this year. It's hard to play all that extra baseball, and they've done it for 8 years in a row now. So not bad.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is it's hard for Rangers fans to admit. It's hard for us to admit, but they're a special group.
Hey,
they're
admit
a special team.
Yeah, I'll give credit where credit is due.
Yeah. You have
solid.
to. And that Astros team, that's a really special bunch. And so there you go. They did it again, right?
Again, let's take a look, though, at the Jackson Holiday photo of his celebration, because he's just a little 20-year-old. So they had baby's first clinchmas with the Orioles. The Orioles clinched a postseason berth on Tuesday, making it the first time that the O's have made the playoffs in back-to-back season since the year that I was born, 1997.
I don't know who colored those pictures, but
Jackson wasn't born then
they
either.
stayed in the lines, man. They did a really nice
there
job
were some,
coloring.
though, it looked a little wonky. So
Maybe
maybe
a
it was
little-
players' kids that did it.
Players' kids.
It's
Well,
crazy, though, to think
fantastic.
about these young kids that already have, postseasons under their belt. Like my buddy that I graduated college with, he's 25 and he has 2 Super Bowl rings.
Oh,
So
man.
that
Jeez,
makes me
yeah.
feel very successful and well accomplished.
Yeah, right. How you
Yeah,
doing,
but-
Abs? Yeah.
but-
Yeah,
He's like,
let's,
hey, how you doing,
let's
Abs?
see.
Yeah.
But Cal Ripken won a World Series his rookie year.
Yeah.
Never went back. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
flip
Yeah.
side to it too. All these celebrations and visiting clubhouses. The turnaround's amazing.
It
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Because they call in carpet guys.
Yep.
And they get it sucked up and everything.
It's good
and
to
they
go.
Get they get it ready. They get it ready for the next day. I mean, I've seen it in Oakland, which
Couple
is
of times,
pretty
yeah.
shocking because Oakland's a dump. But they do it, and I think the celebrating team gets the bill.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's an
Hey, they
expense
don't
they're
mind.
glad to pay. Yeah.
They
No,
don't
and
mind.
and the worst thing is because it's one game, so the clubhouse crew covers everything in plastic,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, oh crap, we're not
No,
clinching,
right.
and they're tearing it down.
Yeah,
you
no.
know?
No, that was the 2011 World
Yep.
Series.
Yep.
Yeah. Gosh Almighty.
All right,
But
well,
go
here's here's what can happen tonight. So the Yankees can clinch the AL East. They would get a first round bye and home field advantage in the ALDS with a win over Baltimore. That would be their 21st division title as well. And then the Phillies can clinch first round bye and home field advantage in the NLDS with a win versus Chicago and a loss by the Brewers at Pittsburgh. So
Okay.
those are 2 more scenarios that we will keep our eyes on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's postseason. It's really fun. And look, when you are on the precipice, as both of those teams are, of clinching home field, right? That's significant. And the bye, I believe that's significant. I'm never a
Well,
big fan of the bye in other sports.
My dad's set because they had the advantage, and he swears that they lost the World Series because of
they
the
had
time.
too much time off?
Yeah.
See, I think that happens in other sports. I typically don't think it's that bad in baseball, but he would know better than me.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk to him about it soon. But when I was doing some research today, I found some pretty interesting stats for the 2024 regular season that I want to go over. Let's take a look at what these heavy hitters are doing in baseball today with none other than Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, and Bobby Witt Jr. Check this out, guys. The Yankees duo of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, they are literally 32 home runs behind the Chicago White Sox as a team themselves. They've combined for 95 home runs, 254 walks, and 242 RBI.
Wow.
Then we've got Shohei Ohtani. We're still, you thought it would be over with a 50-50 watch, but if he's going to keep going, we're going to keep going. He's at 53, 55. Just ridiculous stuff. I'm curious to see what he ends up with before the postseason starts. It'll be interesting.
60-60.
If there's anybody that can do it, I do believe it's Shohei Ohtani. And then last but not least, Bobby Witt Jr. He has an OPS plus of 173. That's the highest by a shortstop with at least 120 games played since the Pirates' Archie Vaughn. And he had a mark of 190 back in 1935. Also,
How old Archie?
Oh, yeah.
Good old
Archie.
Archie. Man, I loved it
Archie
when they
was
had
from.
nicknames.
And Bobby Witt Jr. is the only player with 30 home runs, 40 doubles, 10 triples, 25 steals in a season ever in MLB history.
Great family, the Witts, and a great kid from the area. So awesome. Just awesome for Bobby Witt Jr. Yeah, we'll root for
I
him.
feel like we talk about these guys every day, though, and it's insane what they do. But it's like if you really sit down and think about each stat by itself, we do talk about it a lot, and it's like, oh, Ohtani did it again, but it's really just the level of the game these days is just unmatched, and I love being a baseball fan.
Super fun and super fun time of the year to be a baseball fan. Of course, the Rangers play the A's again tonight. It's the final night game in the history of the Oakland Coliseum. It could get wild there tonight. We hope it doesn't. We hope it stays festive. Of course, tomorrow, the final game. It's a getaway day game tomorrow at Oakland, which they will start at around 12:45 in the afternoon. So that
We'll have
one,
a pregame, postgame show?
yeah, we'll have,
Pre and
tomorrow we'll
post.
have a pre and post, and we'll be here with you to chat about all of it. We'll also be watching tonight to see how the Rangers do with Cody Bradford on the mound. So we appreciate you being here with us today, and we enjoy every moment we get to spend with you, and we will see you again tomorrow. 2 doses of us tomorrow as we bring you a pregame and a postgame. We will see you at 1 o'clock. Beautiful.
Yep.
See you then.
That too. Whatever.
Maybe 2.
We all silly like the mayor.